Hello, fellow artists. This is Miss Ferguson. Have you ever worked with colors? How about colored pencils? Have you ever wondered, how do I choose my colors when I start a drawing? How do I get my colors to mix together so they look more realistic? How do I get them to blend together nicely in the first place? In this short video, we will go over and hopefully answer each of those questions. Before we start our drawing, I'm going to go over 4 basic blending techniques. I extracted these techniques from Unmask Art's video, 7 Ways of Blending Colored Pencils for Beginners. You can find a link to their tutorial, which includes more in-depth techniques, in the description of this video. The 4 basic colored pencil blending techniques you can do without any other materials, just using colored pencils, are layering, burnishing, saturation burnishing, and tonal burnishing. Layering is the foundation or starting point for all other methods of blending. One of the most important parts of this technique is controlling the amount of pressure you use on your pencil. You should use no more pressure than you would when signing your name. Here, I'm layering violet blue, blue, and cornflower blue. Watch how I'm gently putting down layers of separate color and then using them to go over each other until there is a gradual color change. Notice how you can still see bits of white paper beneath the pencil marks. Burnishing basically means adding color in addition to layering to the extent that a glossy finish is built up. Have you ever just gone to town with your colored pencils or crayons and noticed that there is a waxy, shiny surface, especially after you've filled in the area so much that you can't see paper anymore? That's called burnishing. For this technique, I begin by layering with a deep red violet, a dusky pink, and a peachy pink. But I don't just stop when I have a decent amount of coverage and a gradual transition of color from dark to light. I keep going, adding layers until I can't see the white of the paper anymore. I gradually press harder and harder as I do this in layers, and eventually I have a burnished surface. Burnishing is important for creating realistic, smooth textures that you would need for successful still lifes and portraits. It takes some patience, but it's worth it in the end. Saturation burnishing is very similar to basic burnishing, but there is a major difference. Instead of layering and gradually pressing down harder and harder with my original colors, I layer the colors a few times in the beginning, and then I use a neutral color like gray, white, or cream to go over the whole area and tie the different colors together. This technique is especially important for things like blending realistic skin tones and other surfaces with a lot of subtle details. Tonal burnishing is basically the same thing as saturation burnishing, but instead of choosing a neutral color like gray or white to smooth and desaturate, you will use a different color that relates to your original hues. After I have done the basic layering technique here with these cool greens, turquoise, mint, and forest green, I use a bright yellow green to blend and smooth everything together. See how much it changes the color? This technique is a great way to control the temperature of your colors and produce interesting new variations on the basic colors you have on hand, especially if you don't own all the colored pencils in the world. Now that we've gone over some basic blending techniques, all of which you will see me use while making the drawing you're about to see, it's time to start drawing. But Miss Ferguson, you say, how do I choose the right color to make my drawing? It seems impossible. There are so many, and I don't know where to start. Well, as I always say, start by looking. There's no wrong place to start when looking at your reference, which is the picture or real-life subject you're using as an inspiration for your drawing. When I look at this picture of an apple, the first color I see is this lovely greenish-yellow color. We'll call it a chartreuse. I start there and continue to pick colors based on what I see. In this apple, I see chartreuse, light yellow-green, bright red, dark reddish-brown, a kind of burnt sienna color, canary yellow, yellow ochre, peach, a pale creamy yellow, brownish-red, mulberry, mint, aqua, and a warm brown. Now, if you're paying attention, over the next few minutes, you'll notice that there are 2 of these colors that I don't use. One of the most important parts of color blending is looking so hard for all the colors in what you see, you might actually see some that aren't there. It's kind of like ghost hunting. Don't worry, it's better to have too many colors than not enough. Use your imagination. I'm going to speed this up more and more the farther I get into it. Because this video is about color choice and blending, particularly with colored pencils, I won't go over the basics of drawing from observation, but I want to restate two very, very important things here. First, make sure you're drawing light enough to be able to erase any mistakes. You can see me messing up and erasing multiple times here in this part of the process. If you get too dark too quickly, you won't be able to erase your errors and then you'll have to live with it. Some artists do this on purpose, but that's a story for a different time. Second, make sure that you're plotting out major areas of color in addition to major shapes. You will need all that structure when you move forward with adding color to your drawing. After all, realistic color blending isn't just about knowing which colors to add, it's also knowing where they belong. Right now, we're making ourselves a map, so we know where we're going on this little adventure. Your next step will be to start erasing your pencil lines and, finally, begin adding colored pencil. But Miss Ferguson, you say, wait, why do I need to erase my pencil lines as I add color? Why can't I just go over them? Wasn't the whole point of this to map out where I'm going? Well, my answer to you is that you could keep all your pencil lines, but once you go over a pencil line with colored pencil, it does become permanent and you can't erase it. For some drawings, that's a great thing to do that adds to the energy and beauty of the piece. With this drawing, however, we're trying to be less sketchy and more realistic. And being able to see sketch lines beneath our colored pencil would break the illusion of realism a little bit. As you can see, as I am adding areas of colored pencil, I am erasing lines of graphite. At this point in the video, I'm going to stop giving you verbal instructions and simply demonstrate the complete process of drawing this apple. So it doesn't take forever for you to watch it, I have sped up the process by as much as 25 times. I'm telling you this because I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that the drawing process takes time and patience. Watching a time lapse of an artist drawing on YouTube can often make people think that this process is fast and easy. I'm here to tell you that it's not. You are not seeing all the times I had to shoo my cats off the table, eat lunch, visit the restroom, or even sleep. Not counting all the breaks, this whole process took a total of 2 hours and 5 minutes. And that's not taking into consideration that I'm a trained artist. So if this is hard, especially the first few times, please give yourself time and love. And most importantly, keep going. One more thing before I go. I promise this is the last thing. Make sure you're on the lookout for when I use each of the 4 blending methods I showed you at the beginning of this video. Remember, you can pause, rewind, and even slow down the video if you're watching on YouTube. After all, what's the point of learning that stuff if it doesn't matter when you're actually drawing, right? This is Miss Ferguson signing off. Thank you so much for watching.